What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Mattcast, episode 4.
Gonna be a good one.
We're getting in there. So we're here today on Sunday afternoon, sadly, after the Browns' performance. Dad will talk a little bit more about
I'm wound up.
He's ready to share some emotional insight on that. And we're going to shorten the show up a little bit today, so you might notice that. We're just going to try to, we realize everybody's time is important and brief, so we're going to try to keep it simple and still put together a nice show for you. So thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe. And we're going to start with Ryan with the Buckeyes' great performance. I mean, a win's a win yesterday. But let's go a little bit deeper on your thoughts on that.
I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, man, Ryan Day is a genius. You know, there's been a lot of talk about Ryan Day paying, what is it? $20 million for his players. Bravo by him.
Yeah, right.
Howard looks good again. You know, he was 21 for 125, and I believe the announcers were saying like he's like near perfect today. He made the right throws at sometimes. There's a little bit of reading that he has to get better at, I think, throughout the season when he threw that interception. But if you look back in those 3 touchdowns he threw to Abuka, he threw them right where Abuka could catch it. Same with Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah.
I mean, that throw he threw to Smith, you know, now they're saying
threading a needle.
Now they're saying instead of getting Moss, you're getting Smith.
Okay.
So that's I don't know if that's going to stay or not.
Catch up.
Another one-handed catch.
It was amazing. He balls out. I want to see a little bit more from the first half. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so and we talked a little bit earlier. Why is it taking them such a slow start?
Yeah, it's been like a season-long thing.
It has been, and we're going into week 6, week 7, 6 for Buckeyes, and I think a little bit of this to do with is trying to figure out what the defense is preparing for. You know, every team has to come with their best game.
Yeah,
you have to have the best game plan, and I think if you look back at Iowa, they came in right away, thought they had the best game plan. You can go to Western Michigan, the same thing. You can even look at Bowling Green and Akron and stuff like that. Or Marshall, excuse me. They all have a game plan to come in, and they have to play their very best effort to beat Ohio State. So I think it's given Ohio State's coaches a chance to sit back, relax. But I'm telling you, after the second half, we're just blowing out teams like it's a whole different game.
We're not where Alabama is. Or
that's
Tennessee.
where Ohio State always excelled, was in the second half, because they have the boys, the horses in the stable, to wear them down in the first half. By that end of that third quarter, they're huffing and puffing, and then the Buckeyes are running all over. That's just traditional. It takes time. Okay, let me ask you one question.
Mm-hmm.
How often do you practice against halfback pass?
Oh, it's kind of a bush league play because you don't see it very often.
They ran, right?
Right, they run it because they're bringing you the whole play.
Right, they're going to come in and they're not going to play tendencies. They're not going to do what they normally do. They're going to throw the kitchen sink. They're going to throw plays that you haven't seen in a while. And that's fine and dandy because that just makes the Buckeyes better, in my opinion. But this is just my opinion. That's why I think they get off to a slower start, because the coordinators are deciphering what the other team's trying to do.
Yeah.
And as strong as the defense is, it's hard to get a judge on what the offense is doing if they're 3 and out, right?
Yeah.
And they held them scoreless. Now, on the other side of the ball, the
turnovers too, right? Then
the offense is not the problem. They're clicking outside of a couple things here and there.
Yeah, they scored on their first 4 possessions.
Yeah, but they're not showing nothing. They're not showing anything either, bud. They're not going to come in here and show you what they got.
It's hard to believe if they're not showing everything they got and as good as they are right now. You know, everyone's saying this is a scary team. Here's one statistic.
That defense.
One statistic for you that you probably don't know. Ohio State has been in the red zone 21 times. Okay, out of the 100% of those times, they've scored. 20 out of 21, they scored a touchdown, and then 1 beat a field goal.
So they've scored every single time in the red.
What about the Browns? Do we know that?
No, we don't want to go there. Don't get.
We'll check in down with that later. So we had an exciting football weekend. There were 7 ranked teams that went down, and you look at how many were in the Big Ten that went down or upset a team. You had Minnesota upset at USC. You had Washington upset the team up north. A nice one to see was Bama getting beat by Vanderbilt. I think that was a surprise for everyone.
That was exciting. Yeah, that was pretty. And last night's game, Michigan, and that was a replay of the national championship game. Zeke's got a couple comments too, though. He's trying to get to that.
So when you look at Week 7, Ohio State plays Oregon. Game day is going to be there. Night game. That's going to be an electrified stadium.
That's this Saturday.
This Saturday, Ohio State comes in at 3.5-point favored.
Come on.
Do you think it's going to be a close?
Is it at
game?
home like that said with the 2.5 points, 3?
It's at Oregon, so Oregon's.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know. I think I haven't seen much of Oregon yet. What have you seen?
Well, I seen a stat today. They are undefeated. They were highly ranked going into the year, and they're back in that 3 spot where they were, I think, earlier ranked. But I think they're disappointed at how they're not as dominant, maybe.
Okay.
But with the college football being shaken up right now, it's kind of honestly Texas and Ohio State. I feel like has been the 2 consistent teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's going to be a big game. Ohio State being a 3.5 favored. Oregon coming off their win against Michigan State, and that was a game they wanted to see how Oregon would do against Michigan State after Ohio State had just played them. And I think it for one time it was like 21-10, Oregon. So nothing too crazy. They have their dogs, you know. Gabriel's pretty good. They have 2 receivers, running back. I think it's pretty good. I think it's gonna be a dogfight in the beginning, but I think Ohio State is gonna pull away.
Another second half win. That's a good call.
One thing I want to just ask is, will Ohio State move up to number 1 spot if they beat Oregon in Oregon? Right now, Texas slid after the whole shakeup. Do you think Ohio State's going to move that number?
Better get by the SEC bias.
I doubt it.
You doubt it? Yeah. Texas does play Oklahoma, so that would be the Red River. That'd be something to look at. But it's hard to say if Ohio State comes out and puts up a performance like they did against Iowa.
Yeah.
I mean, Iowa's not a bad team. They're 3-2. They were 3-1 coming into this. And Iowa always brings a great defense. Yeah. So are they down? Is that the question? Or is Ohio State?
Their defense is not as dominant as they're most of the time. Yes, they do have a good defense, but it's not as dominant as normal. But their offense has improved this year. Iowa has scored more offensive points throughout the season, except for the one loss they had coming in. So it's kind of a mixture.
What do you think of the new name? We talked about was the 1-2 punch. Now it's the smash and dash.
Smash and dash.
And I honestly was kind of confused. They have as Smash being Junkins and Dash being Henderson. See, I thought it'd be flip flop. I thought Henderson was more of the pounded and smash kind of guy, and I thought with Junkins his breakaway speed that he's known for, the long ball, what Ryan Day calls him, as the dash guy. I didn't know if you guys heard that or what you thought about this.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I thought it would be the other way around. Either way, I love watching it. I'm glad that they're both on our side right now. I'm just, in this transfer portal world, I'm a little nervous. And that's the other thing you're going to think about the Oregon matchup, too. Like, they're putting tape out there. And anybody that's playing a primetime game like that against a big school like Ohio State is going to really give their 110, 120, whatever, trying to get that tape out there. And then are we going to be able to keep both of those back? Henderson's a senior this year, right? Or
Henderson, both of them are.
I'd be surprised if they both don't go to the NFL.
Yeah.
No, they're seniors.
I mean, they both got what?
Oh, they're both seniors?
They both have over 3,000 yards each, in their career.
So they're going to end up.
So they're going to be a top 1, 2, 3 round probably pick.
You might even want to cut that part out, right?
I don't think running backs are taken in the first round unless you're a phenomenal.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, they're all talking about how these two are. Okay, aside from, is it Gentry from Boise State? That's supposedly the number 1 running back, and he looks good, but he's playing for Boise State.
Right.
So sometimes you can see what game film is, and then a lot of that you differentiate yourself at the combine. Who really is the studs? Who can do more than what they see in game film? But then I have to think how teams dig a little bit deeper into these kids and see what kind of kid they are, what kind of guy they want to spend their money on, because it's a business. They're paying this player to be on their organization, and I can't see 2 better people than Junkins and Henderson.
And we talked about that week 1 or our episode 1 when we were talking about the Browns and that unfortunate set of circumstances from their draft pick that he got into some trouble with the law. So that is very important to do the homework too.
One last thing I want to leave with.
Never foreseen.
Yeah.
You never know.
It's hard to read.
Is
I feel sorry for the kid.
Well, we talked about it earlier again.
Yeah.
These kids are coming in college right now with the NIL and the transfer portal, money getting thrown at them. And we talked earlier at Ripley's game where some of these kids might not come from a good childhood and don't financially know how to spend it.
Yeah.
So when you get this boatload of money in the NFL, it's like,
Yeah, I think the NFL has now instilled some money management things and different classes for them to try to invest their money a little bit different. Um, but again, you you can't change people's. Yeah.
But to finish up, one last thing I wanted to get your guys' opinion on is Jeremiah Smith has 6 touchdowns this year as a freshman.
Phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Carter has the record at 8. How many games does it take till Smith's gonna beat it? He's gonna pass it. I mean, with the one-handed catches he's throwing out there, you're gonna have to double cover him, and if you double cover him, Ibuka's gonna kill you, or Tate's gonna kill you.
Right.
And I think even looking at the 2 running backs, Judkins and Henderson, they didn't get as much production as what we've seen the last 4 games they did. We focused the receivers showed up tonight.
Yeah.
So it's like when you watch film Ohio State, it's like, oh my gosh.
Right. How do you prepare for
What's he going to prepare for?
Yeah.
So yeah, how many games do you think it's going to take for him to beat that record? I say 2 more. I think after Oregon, I think he'll get 1, and I think the following week is it Purdue maybe? Don't quote me on that. I'll check it up later, but I think it's 2 games. What do you think?
It just depends on the opposing defense, what they decided to try to take away the most, whether it's the running game or pass. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know I haven't seen the scouting report on Oregon. I don't know how well they're beat. I don't know. You?
I haven't watched much. I mean, I think we've been so focused on our
It's hard to
offense.
watch West Coast teams anyways because they're never home.
Well, when they are, I'm in bed.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You know what I mean? It's like so late at night.
So, but yeah, Oregon's been doing really well since it came in the Big Ten. Again, we talked about how good the Big Ten's been. There's 4 teams right now that are still undefeated. By next week, there'll be 3 potentially with the winner of the Ohio State Oregon, and you have Indiana that's rolling right now, and Penn State. Ohio State's going to see Penn State again later in the year, so there'll be another team that could not be undefeated. So the Big Ten's looking
State College
yeah.
at night, white out. Going to be a close one.
So, that place goes nuts.
Yeah, Ohio State's it's a big game. This is the biggest game of their year. Iowa's a great test, I thought, to see
Oregon,
a blue blood Big Ten team how we could do. And
Penn State.
Again, it looked like we dominated it all 4
It
quarters.
sucks that Michigan dropped another one. That's 2 losses. It sucks for the Buckeyes because we want to beat teams that are ranked.
Yeah. That's true.
We don't want to see people in the Big Ten dropping games.
No, we want to see them do well until they play.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we got. Speaking of that, what's your outlook on today's Browns? I know that you haven't watched. So, Dad paused the game because he was at a youth football game, so he hasn't even gotten to enjoy today's performance. So
I've watched the first 2 drives now.
I don't even know if. Yeah, I'm glad that you didn't because I'll be interested to hear what you say next week. But what do you got to say this week about where the Browns are at and how you feel they can right the ship?
I don't like to be negative. I'm a lifelong Browns fan.
That is true.
After week 5, stick a fork in them, they're done. There's too much. Half the team's going right and the other half's going left. They lead the league, the NFL. They lead the NFL in penalties.
Right.
To me, that's coaching. That's undisciplined play. And if you can't hold your players accountability, you need to look for another profession. There's something going on, and you better get it figured out quick because only thing I ask of the Cleveland Browns as being a lifelong fan, we've been through misery for so many years, is to put on a product on the field that I can get behind knowing that it's competitive. Last year was a fugazi. Last year we were winning, and we were fooled. We were fooled into thinking that we had something.
Well, we had Flacco,
and we don't have anything. They're just downright terrible right now, and it's not that they don't have the players. That's the whole problem. They have a roster of talented players, but for some reason they're not playing like organized football. The defense looks totally different. They're over aggressive instead of playing and maintaining edges and maintaining your lanes and do your job. We're too worried about celebrating and getting good stops. It's not happening. We're getting the other defense is getting exposed. You had a rookie today. I don't know about you guys, how much NFL you've watched, but every time there was a rookie quarterback, what did the defense always do? because young quarterback can't read these NFL defenses as fast as an accomplished. You what? You blitz. Every play, you were putting pressure on that quarterback, and you would have thought we were playing Dan Marino or John Elway today. Just don't get it. You can't be a defensive end and look to sack the quarterback on a running play. That shit don't work. As soon as you get upfield, what's the rule when it comes to the defensive?
Don't get too deep.
You go no deeper than the quarterback.
There you go. You don't want to go too deep. And we don't even say depth to the quarterback. You want to go about 2 steps in there and make sure you find the ball first.
Yes. Nope. What's the first move? Myles Garrett, as great a defensive end as he is, first thing he looks for is sacks. I want sacks. He gets out of position. They end up throwing the ball right to the area that he vacated. This is going on play after play after play, and that's why teams are being able to move the ball down the field and score on.
So selfish defense.
So my recommendation for any Browns fans out there, write this season off. Don't get the blood pressure up like mine is right now. Try to enjoy it as much as you can, but right now we're contending for the first pick of the draft next year. We're done.
I think there's a lot of upset fans. Browns. And this is what Stefanski's probably worst year
so far
since he came in.
So far, worst year.
And it's like question mark is what happened, because this is the exact same team pretty much last year for sure, maybe 2 years. A lot of the same defense.
Did they extend his contract, or
they just gave him both of them? Andrew Berry, the general manager, and Kevin Stefanski. Now let's back up a minute. We're not ready to throw him out on the street yet.
No,
I mean we want consistency, but maybe this is a learning experience. This is Kevin Stefanski's actual first coaching position was in Cleveland. Even though he's been coaching for 4 years, he's still learning.
Yeah.
And if he's still calling the plays next week, he should be fired on the spot. Because this is the time when you're 1-4 to say, hand on that offensive play calling someone else. Let's see if you can do any better, because I ain't getting the job done.
Do you think that is the general thought in the locker room too among the players? Is there any discontent among the players?
I'm sure there's all kinds of discontent amongst the players.
I saw some frustration today on the field from David Njoku and Amari Cooper, both on missed throws by Deshaun Watson. So they're even getting upset with each other. Which is not a real good sign. Now, but I think right as they came out in the second half, and you'll see they connected on a pass, they weren't able to finish though. But so a little bit of life, but not enough to finish. Not enough to finish.
All I ask for as a fan is to put a product on the field that I can feel that I have a shot. And right now, this team does not have a shot, and this is not something I'm paying for.
Right.
And it's not good. It's not good, and it comes off of a season of high hopes. We've made the playoffs. This is 2 out of 4. 2 out of the first 4 years we've made the playoffs under Kevin Stefanski.
Right.
And last year, this has been the most talented team that I have seen in my entire life with the Browns as far as depth goes. I mean, we have guys coming off the bench that can be starting most other teams. So it's like we're deep. This was an opportunity. This is why it was the window for the Browns is now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Myles Garrett ain't getting younger.
Right.
Yep.
And Nick Chubb not getting younger. He's had 2 major knee surgeries now. So if you're banking on Nick Chubb carrying you and saving your season, you better switch to a different dream.
It was good to see him in pads though this week.
Not practice.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys were aware of this, but when they negotiated this year of contract, this was his last year on the contract.
Mm-hmm.
So he was going to have to be extended after this year anyway. But the Browns says, look, man, you got this major knee surgery. We're not sure. You're not sure. Let's renegotiate your contract and put it all, this money, your money. We're not going to take any from you, but we're going to put it in an incentive-based contract.
Yeah.
Okay? We're going to do it on results on the field. So they based that contract on 12 games, not 17. So that contract is designed for 12 games, not 7. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they knew, and he knew, that he really wasn't going to get back until the 5th or 6th week of the season anyhow.
Yeah, I remember it.
And so we knew this was coming. And I'm glad they took their time with it. I'm glad they took their time with David Njoku. He came in and made a big catch right off the bench. The series that I got to see. And the first series. But Anyway,
A lot of question marks.
too many.
You look at the next 3 games. You're at Eagles.
Lost.
You're home against the Bengals.
Lost.
And you're home against the Ravens.
Lost.
Which I'll be there for that game.
All right.
So hopefully I'll have.
So that's optimistic about the Browns' future. He says we're going right for number 1 draft pick.
We're going after the. We might not even.
Will we throw a parade?
Here's the bad thing. We're not even going to have to try.
What if
We're going to be the worst team yet.
It's so hard.
Carolina will win more games this year than the Browns.
You heard it here, folks.
Bet on it. Vegas. The Browns will not win another game the rest of the year. The way they're playing now, unless there's a major change up there.
Yeah.
Now what you're going to see happen, this is coming from the experience of years of watching the Browns, you're going to see a lot of people getting injured now for the season now.
Oh,
they're going to collect that paycheck.
Yeah.
Hey, this is shitty football. I ain't going to be a part of it. A hamstring. Denzel Ward.
So maybe we'll change the segment to a different NFL team. But you can always go there.
I refuse to change teams,
I'm just kidding.
but I'm going to write them off this year. And it's like
Right now they are tied with Carolina.
They look like a freaking high school team. They make
Making
the same mistakes.
And then they're 5 going into this week. There were 5 penalties more than the next team.
How often in the NFL, just the NFL, how often is a punt returner run into after a fair catch signal?
It definitely looks
From like 3 yards.
More than it should be.
Right.
This is the NFL. This is not high school.
I know. It's frustrating.
What are you doing?
That's so true. And I think the
Lack of focus.
The rest of the Browns fans are right there with you. I also think it's a great time for Danielle's Daily Dose. We need some bit of positivity in here.
Well, the good thing is the JUCO made it back and Nick Chubb come back.
Yeah.
So let's root for Nick Chubb and let's root for David Jukes.
There you go. I think we just take it one week at a time, one game at a time, and look for improvements in every game. Take advantage of opportunities and reps and snaps, and right the ship. Maybe
There's so many
just
things wrong.
Maybe
you just got beat 34-13 by a team that really wiped the board and started from scratch.
Mm-hmm. So they're already farther ahead than a team that's been built.
They only got what, 1 loss?
They're 4-1.
Yeah.
And I think Daniels has a lot to do with that.
That's gonna be honest.
Again,
But
how do you can't treat him like a veteran. You have to treat him like a rookie. You have to confuse him. You have to throw different defenses at him. And you got to blitz the poop out of him.
Yes.
Period. You got to keep him uneasy. And it ain't getting done. And you got one of the best defenses, roster-wise, in the NFL.
Yeah, on paper, but it's in life. So, hey, Danielle, how's it going? We're going to go to your segment here, Danielle's Daily. Hey, what's going on, Danielle? It's time for that Danielle's Daily Dose. We just had a little bit of negative talk about the Browns. So we're hoping you can bring some positive light to us. I love what I saw, the story you shared with us about this week. So I'm looking forward to hearing about this guy.
It's save our show.
All right, well, good evening, fellas. And I would like to talk a little bit about his disorder. He had CDS, and he had, despite concerns about fitting in with his peers and his football coach and teammates.
Where was this at?
It was at trying to find my notes here.
It was Capella, Texas.
Yeah, I'd have flipped it back.
That's okay. Yeah, that's awesome. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. Anyhow, he was not only, but he was 17 years old and had a passion for sports, especially football, like we all have compassion for. He was born 2 weeks early and spent time in the NICU due to his condition that he had, which it was that CDS that we just talked about. Football was his main passion. In the final game of the season, he was ready to dress with the team that he was with, so he was ready to do that. One day he came home and expressed to his mom that he said that, hey, I'm ready, to be with the team, and he just told his mom that what really upset him when he come home from school is that he said that he had no friends, which was kind of got him really upset about it. And so he also wanted a nameplate for his, because he got a cubicle out of that, which I thought was really cool.
Locker.
So in the locker room, so he got a nameplate for that. He got to be an assistant coach.
So they give him the title assistant coach. That's pretty special, Danielle.
Yeah, it is.
That's really great. Where'd you hear about this story?
Right Now Media.
Right Now Media, huh? That's awesome.
And what's it called? What can we search to find this?
What was the name? Something about game, ready for the game or something like that, or
Ready for the game, and his name was Coach Bry.
Coach Bright. Yep.
What a great story, Danielle. Great work. Great investigative journalism. Looking for those positive, God shining moments in sports. That was a great segment. It was nice to see you on Friday night at the Quakers game.
Yeah.
It was exciting. I saw you got down on the field, got a couple pics with the players too. That was cool. Carson Long's mom sent me a photo that you got with him, and I thought
because I went to school with his mom.
She said, "I love that girl." Is what she said. Make sure Danielle.
Yeah, because the reason why she said that, Jay, is because she was a teacher at Buckeyes, so I was with her that year.
That's
so
right.
I got to be with her. So
yeah. Well, I actually coached her daughter in softball, and now I've gotten to coach both of her boys, and they're all athletic studs. So it's been cool. So all right, well, Danielle, it was great talking to you. Great job on the segment. We love having you. Again, that's Danielle's Daily Dose. We look forward to it on our show every week. All right, guys. Hey, we reached that part of the show where we're going to talk about some fantasy disappointments of Week 4. I'll go ahead and start. Aaron Rodgers, another disappointing week, and unfortunately another disappointing morning. So they did not. They ended up losing 10-9 to the Vikings this morning. They lost last week. Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, both of those guys unfortunately did not do well last week, and they ended up this week. I think Breece Hall had 16 carries for 54 yards, 5 receptions, 39 yards. Wilson had 4 catches for 33 yards. So those are guys that you grabbed early.
Yep.
And put on your roster, and you start every week expecting big, showouts, and they just been disappointing. Now, I was a little bit on the Jets train after they beat New England, but I think we learned that New England's defense must be that bad because their efforts last week was a little concerning, and unfortunately this morning it didn't look any better for them. So, what you got?
Yeah, the biggest one I could think of that from so many years, last 3-4 years, I'd say Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
He's been a highly drafted quarterback for fantasy, and right now he's 14, 12, 15, and 12.
Yeah.
Those are low numbers for a quarterback.
Right. Especially for a guy like him that you're selling out for a first-round draft. And
I know last week I talked about Travis Kelce, but I didn't really dive into it, so I looked. He scored 6, 1, 7, and 15. So is it a time change for him that he's finally getting the points? But for Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes on a Kansas City team who went to the Super Bowl, won it twice, guys that you've picked up in the first round.
Yeah.
Sometimes Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce were top 10.
Well, and that very thing that you said put a lot of pressure, I think, on Kansas City last week to try to get Kelce the ball more. Because that's what people were saying.
Their whole thing is to go back to back to back. Okay, that's their goal.
Yeah.
And so they are not going to be the same team that they're normal. This is stuff that you don't really consider when it comes down to taking players in a fantasy draft. You don't go through all the scenarios of what they might be going to do.
Yeah, I know I don't.
So he said, or it came out that he was trying to get some of these other younger receivers the ball so that he could form that chemistry that he already has with Travis. And they're winning. That's the whole thing.
I mean, they're winning.
They're winning. And so I think that's the reason that Mahomes' numbers are down, that they are trying to do other things than just concentrate on Travis. Mm-hmm. But when they need Travis, he will be there. He hasn't forgot how to play football.
That's right.
And the chemistry's there, but there's a little more going on behind the scenes than what.
And they're developing their younger talent that they got. Terrible news last week about that. Rice. Not that his mom stole the package, but that he's probably looking at a season-ending injury. So,
and one guy that I want to tell you guys to grab right away if you need a quarterback, Joe Flacco.
Joey Flacco.
Joe Flacco is
Joey Flacco.
quote right now on week 6. He's going to be a top 10 fantasy quarterback.
He's gonna finish top 10. Huh?
I want to get something else off my
I hope
chest
that
about Joey Flacco. Okay. It is out there. The Joey Flacco the Browns didn't offer. That is a true statement. But the real truth to be known is Joe told the Browns, the first thing I'm doing is looking for a starting position.
Sure, yeah.
If I can't start here, I'm going to look for a starting job. So the Browns just didn't consider him anymore, and they moved on.
Yeah.
It's not like they didn't want Joe
They were
Flacco.
forced to because they paid all that money for Deshaun.
Right, but the big story now that isn't really a story, but they're trying to make it one, is the fact that, there would be a quarterback. They would be creating a quarterback controversy with the fans. Last time I remember, the fans don't run the organization. But it would make a quarterback conflict. If it does make a quarterback conflict, then maybe you really should look at making a change at QB.
I had people in my text thread today saying, "Where's Jameis Winston to the rescue? We're ready." They were ready for.
We're ready for a switch. I don't blame Deshaun for everything. Last week he looked better than he did today.
Watch today. Some of the throws and decisions and stuff. I think it's just knowing what he was in Houston, and obviously there were other parts around him that disguise that. But I think the Browns sold out for the guy that was playing in Houston. He's just not that guy.
They tried to bring Deshaun Watson in and turn him into something he's not. Kevin Stefanski wants an under center quarterback.
I don't think he can compete.
Watson's not that. He's a freaking shotgun quarterback.
Most NFL teams are, though. I mean, they're not.
But Kevin Stefanski's offense, it's a Brock Purdy offense. They want to be able to get up under center, turn around, and run the RPOs.
Yeah. Well, a lot of RPOs are ran from the shotgun position.
You can run them from both.
Because, you're
I'm just telling
you.
You got Watson wanting to run one offense. You got Stefanski, different idea on how to run offense. And then you add Dorsey to the picture.
Mm-hmm. Well, even game management, he's failing. You'll see today there's a couple times.
That's why he needs to give up the play call.
I'm talking about Deshaun.
Deshaun.
There was some miscommunication. Deshaun walks off the field. They
Sorry,
were supposed to take a second time out. Hey, no, it's all right. So that was some good fantasy stuff. You can edit it around, I think. And then area high school football. Garaway Indian Valley had a huge battle on
I got to watch it.
And Jason Wallach I feel like for Jason Wallach, he thought his team played well, and I think what he got off his back, that win record at home on the hill. There was so much pressure, and if you're going to lose a game, if you're going to break that streak,
do it to someone in the division.
It's honorable to lose to a team that has a generational player on their team. That Kinsey kid is extremely talented, and what a battle that high school game was on the hill. Philly, Ryan was there. Danielle was there too. That was cool. We ended up getting the win. I think we could have had a bigger win margin, but I'm really proud of the way the kids, played and fought through some adversity and made some adjustments at halftime. The coaching staff did, as usual. They do a great job. So, and then Dover, they were in a little bit of a game there.
Yeah.
I know I came down around third quarter and said, "You're going to score," and they were down at some point there.
I think they were down
second half.
Yeah.
What happened there? Do you know how what made them?
Junkins. There's a Junkins or Jukins? Judkins.
Okay.
Sorry to butcher your name, buddy.
Yeah.
And he's starting to figure out who he is and how he fits into the offense, and he lit it up on the scoreboard.
Yeah. Well,
For who?
For Dover.
Oh, for Dover.
Yeah.
He plays for.
I think he had 6 touchdowns.
Wow.
So
yeah,
he was the player of the week for Big Z Sports, and it showed. He stepped up especially when an offense was, in a question. Or Dover is a question. Where do we go from here?
Right.
After losing some kids and getting beat by Steubenville, he stepped up.
But they were a close game.
Yeah, and I think it was at Dover too. So
yeah,
I think Philly in the same situation. They're finding out who they are. Identity. You're on the right track. I think after coming off 2 wins, and you have another week this week against Lexington where they can get another W. Yeah. Go to West Holmes and then finish the season. Go to Dover or host in Dover. looking for a shot for the playoffs again for
That'll be
Coach Johnson's fourth year.
I think.
He's made the playoffs all 3 years. This would be his fourth time.
Yeah. So that
you can't ask for a better man than what he is.
no, and there's so much off the field
The head of
stuff
your program.
that people don't see. That
No,
and,
you don't know the story.
Yeah, and it's been cool to watch. Kind of from my little sideline spot, and I like watching
Valley
kids.
took one on the chin. They lost late. They were late in that game.
Is that right?
Three quarters, they were ahead of Claymont, and then
Claymont actually stopped them in the goal line at the end where Tusky Valley could have won.
could have won the game. They should. I mean, so if Dusky Valley's playing better, I'm happy with a couple wins that they got because
Yeah, well, they're heading in the right direction.
it's a brand new coach.
New.
They got about 11 kids on the team. I mean, it's just it's.
They got some athletes, but they had some injuries earlier in the season. They giant kids that showed up to the passing scrimmage, like 7 feet tall.
Yeah,
I mean, they got some size, man.
Was it you that showed up to me at Sandy Valley?
Yeah,
they
got some size. Yeah, so they're heading in the right direction. But it's some exciting football. It's going to continue to now that we're getting closer to playoffs.
Yeah,
I love high school football.
I definitely love high school football too. And just because of the purity, it's probably the purest form of the game right now. Since college has gone to that money, what do you do? Has gone to the NIL and stuff like that. I think you're just seeing kids play for the game. So that's
Wanting to win.
one to win.
Yep.
And fighting for each other. And I think for me, that's one of my favorite parts of the sport is the
It's definitely not going on.
we over me kind of thing, and we're not really seeing it at a whole lot of other levels in high school one, and
Well, you take that point though.
Mhm.
We over me.
Yeah.
What I tell you last week about the offensive line cohesiveness. If you are not playing as a unit, you're not going to be successful in the NFL. And I hear it over and over and over.
Yeah.
And we've had nothing but a hodgepodge line as a Brown
Yeah.
all season long. It's terrible offensive line play. You can't have an effective offense when your offensive line is literally not good. And Wills came back today, first week back, like preseason mode.
Mhm.
He's the left tackle, so maybe they'll look better down the road. But I'm not seeing it. I am not seeing it. I look for more dysfunction,
Okay.
not less. I'm looking for more dysfunction. I'm looking for players to quit.
Yeah. Well, hey, I think that pretty much wraps up our show. We had a good show. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We're going to continue doing our best to get the episodes out. Obviously, we're doing everything ourselves. So editing, cutting it. Well, Ryan's doing a lot of that part. So we're still learning. We're still tweaking things every episode, trying to get better. And we just appreciate you being along for the journey. And if not, we're just glad to get this on tape and get time together. I know that it's been special that I've gotten closer to my brother. We didn't really talk a whole. I mean, we talked. It's not like we disliked each other, but life goes fast, and it's just nice to be able to sit down and spend time with you guys. So, I love you guys. We love you, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for
Thanks
watching.
for watching.